my dudes, you know, one of the #1 questions people ask me is how do I improve my line art skills, the quality of my line art? And everyone just says practice. Well, how do you know what to practice? And that's why I created the Artist Workout series. These are focusing on fundamental drawing skills that will help you in your art career. These are short workouts. It only takes a few minutes to do every single day, and you will find results after a period of time. You can work on paper or digital. Use what you want, man. So how does this work? How do these workouts help me, okay? I'm gonna start out with a 1 to 2 minute explanation. This is the instructions, and then you're gonna commit 10 minutes. That's all, just 10 minutes to doing the exercises. Not a race, but you do have to commit only 10 minutes. And then you wanna come back and repeat this exercise as well as the other challenges. These are fundamentals. The more you practice them, the better you get at them, and they only cost you 10 to 15 minutes a day. I got many more of these coming to my YouTube channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Most people skip over the fundamentals, and that's why they stink for years and years, and then they wonder, why the heck doesn't anybody care about my art? Well, it's because you skipped all the fundamentals. Struggling with perspective, 10 minutes a day. Struggling with anatomy, 10 minutes a day. That's all it's gonna take you. All right, today we're gonna be exercising your ability to sketch out confident lines. Let's do it. So first things first, most people, when they sketch out a circle, they just go whole hog right away, hard pressed, gripping the pen tight, and you end up with something that kind of has like some wobbly lines like this. You want to break this habit of trying to go to the final line art and your first line pass. Hold the pen a little bit more loosely and just gesture in where these lines are going to go and feather it a little bit. It's okay because you're going to erase these out after you add the really confident final line later. This will give the illusion that your line was perfect right from the get-go. After you've drawn a half of a circle and sketched it out, you want to do the other half pretty much exactly, try to mirror it. Confident line stroke is like a squeeze, and you really only need to get one down and then rotate the paper, rotate the canvas to get that one stroke with a perfect squeeze. After you've sketched in the rough of your sphere, now you can go in to try to get that more confident line. Now you can press a little bit harder. When you're using the tail of your previous line stroke to extend out the more confident line, to extend the confident line. This is essentially the inking process, and if you do this enough times, you will get more confident with your line work. The circle is a perfect thing to practice because it forces your muscles to work in ways that it's not comfortable with. Like this angle right here, that bottom right is always really tough for me because I'm a righty. If it were on paper, I would just rotate the whole sheet of paper to get that really super confident line. But you'll notice, look at how I move my hand to the top to make sure that I'm using the confident brushstroke that I know I can do. And then I also double up on some of the shadow sides to get a little bit more of a confident, thicker line on the underside. By the way, if you're doing darker, thicker lines, that usually implies that's the shadow side. Thinner lines are going to imply that is the lit side. When we look at the anatomy of a perfect circle, it's basically just a pie with 4 equal quadrants. With this in mind, you could start with a cross and just draw equal perfect pie slices. All right, get them pencils ready. No countdown, just jump right into it, starting now. All right, we're gonna do our underdrawing. Now remember, you can start out by just setting up the equidistant points of your circle. This is for the loose sketch. It's not even for the final line. You can just gesture in that curve there. I always start with the curve that I'm most confident with. If it doesn't seem like it's bowing out enough, you know, this is the rough sketch, so, you know, you can just draw the next one. Don't do like a lot of Control Z through the rough sketch phase, unless if it's like way off. Then I just back that opacity off. If you're doing this in pencil, you know, your rough sketch would have been really light, very, very light gesture lines, and then this would be the more confident lines. This is where you're pressing a little bit harder. You notice how I draw, like I kind of just pick up where the last brush stroke left off, and then I extend it around that curve. Remember that the timer isn't here to make you feel rushed. The timer is here to remind you that, hey man, you just gotta stick with this for like 10 minutes. It can feel boring, it can feel frustrating, but remember, it's only like a few minutes. It's only just a small amount of time. If you find that you only do maybe 2 of these circles in the whole of the 10 minutes, hey, that's a good starting point. It's fine, you know, like, because you can come back and do this exercise again and then compare your results. You're working with a measure here. You can look at like the 10 minutes and go, oh, well, this is what I could do with 10 minutes before, and then in a couple of months, if you come back to the exercise after you've gotten better, you can really see your results measured against your previous self with the same amount of time. You might feel a little rushed, and that's probably a good thing, that you feel a little bit of the pressure from doing a 10-minute exercise like this, but you shouldn't feel that you have to like rush through it. It shouldn't feel like urgent so much that it should be stressing you out. No, man, this is, take as long as you need to do each one. As you finish them, you can kind of pull them off to the side or just move to another area of the paper. Just like when you're lifting weights, if your muscles are not yet strong with doing a certain exercise, if you haven't been working your triceps, for instance, you might be shaky, you might be uncomfortable, But again, the point of this exercise is to build that muscle memory and that strength in your smaller muscles in your hand so that you can comfortably and confidently handle certain curves and certain lines. And it's all about training your muscles and your mind to work together to be able to accomplish these kind of like, you probably won't get perfect curves. You look at what I'm doing, and I don't think that my lines are perfect in any way, but I do think that this kind of an exercise, much like lifting weights, it will improve your skills. And I did notice, by the way, I was working on an Intuos Pro when I did the exercise the first time, and it didn't turn out as good. There's definitely a mental connection between where the pen is on the paper on the surface. If you're drawing on the screen or if you're drawing on paper, there's much more of a muscle-mind connection that's happening there. And all of these exercises are about building that muscle memory and that muscle-mind connection in the same way that you want to strengthen your muscle-mental connection, the neurons in your brain to the muscles in your arms when you're lifting weights or into the muscles that you're using, just like that. That's exactly what we're doing when we're doing these exercises with drawing curves and drawing circles. We're at the 5-minute mark, so you've got 5 more minutes. That's all, man. And then your exercises for the day are done. This will feel really good to know that you're making progress. You're working towards improving your line art, improving your curves, improving your mental memory, improving your mental memory to the muscles in your hands to be able to draw better curves. Just to keep it interesting, I started to vary up the sizes, and you can do this yourself too. And I also want to encourage you, if this is your, if you've done this exercise multiple times and you want to just keep it interesting, try to really elaborate on some of the shadow side, maybe do thicker lines along the bottom to really try to build out a much more confident line. You could zoom in really close on your drawing to get really crisp and re-support some of your lines or redraw some of your lines. I want to remind you, if you're in the rough sketch phase, don't do a lot of Control-Z. That's just your rough sketch. But when you're doing your final, kind of like a final line pass, that's maybe where you want to be a little bit more precise. And you could spend, as I said, a whole 10 minutes just getting an absolutely perfect clean line on your circle. And that would be a good way for you to just advance the lesson a little bit more even. But if you're not at that advanced level, it's okay. You don't have to. I think that when you're early on in developing these kind of skills, it's good to just spend as much time as you need to make it great. I mean, it may sound weird, but I want you to walk away from this exercise and feel like you want to show off your circles, As simple and unimpressive as that may be, to some people, I think that if you can get this down, and if you can get down better line work for yourself, then you'll start to see that reflected in your character drawings and in your environment drawings. You'll just start to see this overall improvement. And so like that's what this exercise is about, is being mindful of the quality of your lines. When the human brain looks at all of these rough sketches of lines, it sort of wants to select the one that's correct. It wants to select the one that makes the most sense to it. So it's okay to, in that rough undersketch that you just saw me switch off that layer, it's okay to have that really rough undersketch be really loose. There are some artists who rely on the loose sketchiness of their art style. It adds an energy to their artwork. In fact, I did half of a comic book that was all just pencils at one point. It was a Creed comic book. And a few of my art friends were like, man, I wish the whole book was done that way. It just looked like it had such good energy to it. And it's okay in that rough sketch phase to just be really loose with your lines. That's when you're looking for your forms. That's when you're reaching to find, you're looking for your eye to kind of go, oh yeah, that's the one, that's the one. And then when you go in with the final inked line, that's when it's selecting which one it wants to commit to. All right, we're down to the last minute. So if you've got one of your spheres, one of your circles that you've got almost done, now would be the time to kind of wrap that up and to tidy it up real nice. All right, so our challenge for the day is done. It was pretty quick and painless, I'd say. If you want to go for extra points, if you want to really master this, it's not a bad idea to zoom in and just tighten up those edges. You can just kind of trace over your own lines and really pay a lot of attention to trying to get that really nice and clean and crisp. As time goes on, you'll just find that you do it in less strokes, and you'll do it with faster strokes too. And then people will start to say, well, hey, how do you get your line art looking so clean and crisp? And then you'll just shrug and go, I don't know, dude, practice. Just like how everybody's told you the same thing, and then now you're the person saying it to other people. And when they say, well, what do I practice? You can say, hey, well, Trent made a really awesome artist's workout video. It looks like it's just drawing circles, but you're actually developing your line art skills. And if you're really serious about learning to draw and you want to just draw awesome stuff in like a matter of a few hours, check out my easy art lessons over on my Gumroad channel. And don't worry, man, I'm going to have a lot more of these artist workouts for free here on my YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe, and we're going to up your level of your art skills, man. We're going to do it together. All right, dudes, as usual, I will catch you all mañana. That's every Wednesday and sometimes more. Until then, ciao, baby. Oh, yeah.